Hey everybody, this is Daryl here on Big D's Fig Farm, and today I'm going to pot up a couple cuttings for rooting. And I get asked all the time about how I do it, the method I use to root cuttings. I sell rooted cuttings, probably a majority of what I do sell that, and jam. I do some cuttings as well, but anyway, rooted cuttings is something that, boy, I struggled with in the beginning, trying to figure out how to do it. I wasted a lot of cuttings, that's for sure. It's an art, and there's lots of ways to do it. So, because I've watched tons and tons and tons of videos, I've seen people stick cuttings like this in water and just leave them alone, and they root or send out roots. I've seen them bury them sideways in containers with a medium over them, and then put a lid over it, keep humidity and temperature just right. I've tried that. I got mold, so that didn't work for me. And then they come back and it's got roots all over it. I've seen people use different techniques. That's what I'm trying to say. You can go out there and look and Google it. You'll find lots of ways to do this. The way that works best for me, that's what I'm going to show you today. What I've found, and listen, I try to remind everybody, I am not an expert. I'm not even close. I am an amateur for sure. So I've been growing figs. When I say growing figs, I've had a fig tree for more than 25 years. But it was only in 2023 that the fig bug caught me, and I went from 2 varieties to like 29 in 1 year. And then last year, I went all the way up to 61. Now the winter is taking me back to about 50, I think I have 56 varieties now. I'm not going to keep all of them anyway. A lot of those I'm just growing to taste and see how I like them. I have 24 trees in the ground. I'm probably going to go to 30 or 31 and then stop. I only have a half-acre yard. Big D's Fig Farm is my yard, and it's a half-acre here in Berlin, Maryland, on the east coast of Maryland. But anyway, so thought I would do a video today about how I root cuttings. And again, I've tried I don't know how many things, but this seems to have the best results for me. So I get probably about 90 to 95% success rate. Now listen, that's all about the quality of your cutting. That's number one, is the cutting very good and healthy cutting? That's probably, not probably, it's the most important question. Because if it's not, everything else is going to be an uphill battle. And the cuttings I'm actually potting up today, I'm not real confident on. They still got... So you've heard me say one of the ways to test wood is to scrape it at the bottom. And so if everybody doesn't know, you have each node, you have where the branch was or the leaf, and then where the fruit may or the next branch may come out. So when you're trying to figure out what's top and what's bottom, the bigger is the bottom, the little top thing up here, node, and you can see it's kind of angling up anyway, is the top, okay? And so if you go down to the bottom, and I just cut these. Normally, if I order fig cuttings from somebody else and they send them to me, I would make a fresh cut on the bottom before trying to do this process or while doing this process, so that you have a nice fresh cut to start the roots from. And then I take a knife and just gently scrape down to the green cambium layer. Okay, that's a sign that it's good wood. Now, the reason I wasn't sure about this is on, so I've got probably 80 potted trees outside on my deck. And I lost about 18. I still have 80 left. And out of the 80, only 3 trees have not budded and started growing. 4. One's in ground and then 3 in pots. And here we are in the second week of May. Everything else not only is budded, it's growing, it's thriving, they look fantastic. So I have some concerns. Everybody says, just be patient, it may be slower. Well, I think it is slower. So I'm not patient enough. That's the bottom line. It's a variety I don't want to lose. I have one in ground, and it's doing great. It bloomed out, growing well, looks great. I planted it already, and it's still doing great. But this one, same variety, was in a pot. It's not budding out. And so before it dries up, I'm afraid something happened with the root system in the pot over the winter. I don't know, but I don't want it to dry up and not be any good. So I went ahead and took some cuttings, and I'm gonna try to start some rooted some new trees, bottom line. I make about 3 scrapes down to the cambium layer, not too deep, just taking off the outer bark to expose that right there, okay? I skipped a method or a step that I do. So, I mean, these are all the things you'll want. I like parafilm. I mean, this whole box of parafilm, it's 250 feet of it. I have no idea. It's heavy on what, so I've been using this for a year now, and I'm not even touched the surface on how much it is. And it wasn't expensive when I bought it. Got it on Amazon. I like this better. So what I do is I'll take my scissors here and I cut off a piece about like that. Hardest part about the parafilm is getting it to peel when you don't have a lot of fingernails and you got okay, here we go. Come on now. Come on now. It is not easy, my friends. This is the part that is always the most frustrating. Now, some people dip their cuttings in melted wax. That just seems like too much work, even though as I sit here and wrestle with this parafilm, it might not be. All right, so the parafilm comes off, the paper comes off. I take the top of the cutting and I stretch it over there to kind of get a good seal on the top, and then I press down pretty firmly and wrap the parafilm around the top of the cutting. That's to hold the moisture in. Hold the moisture in on the cutting while you're trying to get it to sprout and grow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that to these other 3. I'm doing 4 cuttings today, so I'm going to prep all them and then we'll come back. All right, so I've got all my cuttings prepped. I've got them wrapped with the parafilm at the top. I've got my 3 scrapings on the bottoms, so we're ready to go. On cuttings, one of the questions or one of the thoughts I had while I was doing that, preference-wise, I'd always take a thick cutting. I like the thicker the better, actually. This is a nice thick cutting here. I hope this one does well. Hope they all do well. These pencil cuttings, they still root most of the time, but they're not as sturdy and strong from the start. I just prefer thick cuttings. That's my preference. I like logs. But there you go. So what I did is I only used Pro Max potting soil. Pro Max. Buy that usually at Walmart is where I buy my Pro Max. You want it damp, but not soaking wet. All right. You want your medium moist and wet, not super wet though. Super wet causes your cutting to rot. It'll cause the bark to rot right off because it's too wet. So you want it to be, I mean, you're going to err on the side of dry, honestly. But I try to do it by weight. I know what it weighs when it's dry, when I first put it in. And then I just run a little bit of water on top and I let it sit for a little while. I watered these cups before I even started doing this video for a little bit because I want to give the water time to dissipate through the soil a little bit. I don't want it too wet though, okay? So that's kind of how that, I mean, and then I check it for weight while it's on the heat mat time to time, and if it's feeling light, I add a little bit more water. That's kind of what I do. No, I don't know, but that's anyway. So I take a white marker. One of the things I like to do, I like to use these clear 32-ounce plastic cups. The reason I like it is I'll show you a rooted cutting at the end of this video, what it looks like when you have success. But I like it because I can see. I can see when the roots start. I know if I'm making progress or not. I can see how strong the roots are and know when the right time to up pot them into a bigger pot is, when you got a nice group of roots in the cup, and you can tell that when you pull it out, it's going to be a plug basically to put right into the next pot. That's what I prefer, and so that's why I like these. Some people probably disagree, say you know, but there's fig pops. They make them with plastic bags. Some people just put them in pots you can't see, and they just base it upon the growth. If it starts growing, well, you were successful. I get that, but I am not patient. So I like to watch and check, and when I start seeing roots starting, I know, all right, that one's going to make it. So that's why I like the clear cups. That's what I do. So if I were to ship you a cutting, it would be in this. It would be one of these. I've created a packing, shipping setup that works pretty good, at least until I run out of those materials. I got a new TV, and it had this huge piece of real thick corrugated cardboard in it that I use as inserts, cut holes in them, and it's the perfect square of the shipping box that I use. And this sits inside of a circle, inside of a square that fits right in the box so it doesn't move. I put one of the bamboo rods in there to keep it from going this way or that way. I tape wet or moist paper towels on top all around the cutting to keep the dirt from moving. I mean, I got pretty good packaging. That part I get a lot of comments on. But if you were to buy a rooted cutting from me, that's how it'll come to you in one of those. And again, before everybody starts thinking I don't have that many, this is out of my house. And now all my bigger trees, yeah, I got limitless cuttings there. But a lot of these varieties I'm growing that you'll see me do videos on. I mean, I've got 1 to 2 of the trees, and they're 3 foot tall in a pot still. They're not like I've got. I'm not a Ross the Fig Boss, and certainly not a Big Bill from Off the Beaten Path. Those guys who have thousands and thousands of trees that they sell, and cuttings. And Bill, man, I went and seen Bill's a couple times. Visited Bill at Off the Beaten Path. That man, he's got it going on. If you've never checked him out, Off the Beaten Path. Bill Loris is his name. Great guy, and super friendly. He is an expert. Now that's an expert if you want somebody who knows what they're doing in the fig world. He is definitely one, and he processes 100 times more figs than I do. Fig trees. Anyway, I write on my cup what the variety is and the date that I potted. That way, because I have a terrible memory, and so I have to be able to come back and look at it and know when I potted it. Because after 10 to 15 days, you should be seeing something. Some are a little bit slower, but most within 2 weeks, you should be seeing something. After 4 weeks of having seen anything, after 4 weeks, I will take it, dump it out, see if there's any roots at all, check the status of the cutting. Sometimes I'll recut it, redo the whole process, and start it all over again. 50% of the time, that might make it go, but sometimes some cuttings are just not going to grow. They're not going to root, and they're not going to take off, and it is what it is. Okay? All right, so now, after I've prepped the cutting, I've got my soil damp, not wet, in my cup. It's all ready to roll. I've marked my cup. I take a little paintbrush and Clonex rooting gel. This is what I use. Some people use the powder. I've tried the powder. Some people use the liquid that you just stick it in and swish it around a little bit. I've tried that too. This works best for me. Again, coming back, I've tried powder and the liquid, and listen, people who know a lot more than me use those, and they're so I'm not trying to tell you what's better or not. This works for me. Clonex rooting gel, I seem to have had the best success with. I put it in a little medicine cup. It's very thick gel. I just get a little bit on my paintbrush, and then I just paint the bottom of the cutting. Literally paint it with the gel. I don't think you want excess gel either. Okay, so you don't want this gooping it all up. So you just want a little thin layer to get that hormone on the wood to get the root started. That's what I do. I paint the bottom of it. Then I take it. I used to use this pencil to make a hole, but now I don't do that anymore. Now I just kind of feed it down into the dirt. Pat around it just lightly. I don't want it too tight in there anyway. And there is one cutting. I will go put this on my heat mat, which I have in the back room. I have a room that I do all my rooting in my house. Keep the temperature in there about 75. And I have heat mats and grow lights. So this will go on a heat mat until we get a good root system. And once it sprouts, it goes under a grow light. Once it gets big enough and I have a good enough root system, I uppot it, put it in the floor under a stronger grow light, and then eventually I will migrate them outside to the shade or to the greenhouse for a period of time in the shaded part of the greenhouse or in the shade part out on my deck for several weeks before I move them into sun. That's an important thing. When you get a cutting from somebody or a rooted cutting, and sometimes even plants, it's an important question to ask, has this been out in the sun, direct sunlight, or has it only been under grow light or even in a greenhouse? Some greenhouses will make a difference. If they haven't, you can really set a plant back by putting it out in full sun too quickly. It can damage them. So that's another video for another day, okay? But that's what I do. That's what it looks like when it's all done. I'm going to go get and show you what a finished one that's actually growing looks like. All right, here I am with one of my cuttings. This is a Brooklyn White. You can see good growth happening. And you can see the roots. I want to make sure you're getting a good view of this. You see the roots system in here. You can see how pretty they look, how they're all around the cup, filling it up nicely. And so this one's really looking good. But that's why I like this, because I can look at it and go, wow, look at that. It's really doing good. All right. So that's what I do to root cuttings. Hope the video helped.